The Bone-Carver's legacy. 10 minutes, 10 years, 10 centuries. Some prophecies wait. The bone waited. Not in the ground. Kaelin had buried it well at the crossroads where the fox ran north at midnight. The lead casing had held for 311 years. Then the earth shifted. The stream changed course, and the bone rose again, nudged upward by frost and root and the slow breathing of continents. A farmer's plow cracked the lead casing one autumn morning. The blade snapped clean in two. The farmer, a superstitious woman named Iridia, dug with her hands until she found the source. A length of amber bone carved into a face, a woman's face, with a scar like a river delta and the word RENNAR across her brow. The bone was warm. She tucked it into her coat and forgot about it for 3 days. On the 4th day, she dreamed of a tower she had never seen. On the 5th, she woke with a scar on her left palm that had not been there the night before. The war of erased memories began quietly, as terrible things often do. It started in the northern capital, where a philosopher named Valdis discovered he could remove a single memory from a sleeping person by pressing a cold iron coin to their temple. At first, he used this gift mercifully, a mother's grief for a stillborn child, a soldier's nightmare of the bridge where his friends fell. But mercy, Valdis discovered, was addictive in its own way, and power, once tasted, sharpens the appetite. Within a year he had an army, not of soldiers, of empty people. Citizens who had forgotten why they loved their families, why they feared their king, why they believed in anything at all. Without the weight of old memories, they floated easily into the current of Valdis's will. He gave them new memories instead. Small ones at first. A fondness for salt in their tea. A belief that the color blue was unlucky. Then, larger ones. Loyalty to Valdis above all others. The certainty that the old world had been cruel, and only he could build a kinder one. The king sent his knights. The knights forgot their oaths. The temples sent their prayers. The prayers forgot their gods. By the time the bone found Iridia again, truly found her, not just in a farmer's pocket, the northern half of the continent had already fallen silent. No songs, no arguments, no children asking for stories about grandparents they could no longer remember. Iridia stood at the edge of her frozen field, the amber bone pressed to her chest, and felt something waking inside her that she could not name. She traveled south for 3 weeks, following a pull she didn't understand. The bone guided her not through visions, but through absences, places where the world felt thin, where the wind smelled of burned paper, where birds flew in confused circles. She passed villages where people smiled identical smiles and called her friend in the same flat tone. She passed one village where an old man sat alone on his porch, carving a stick with a dull knife, and when she asked him why, he said, "I don't know. My hands remember something my mind doesn't." She gave him a piece of bread. He wept, though he couldn't say why. On the 22nd day, she reached the ruins of an old bone-carver's workshop at the edge of the salt flats. The roof had collapsed. The shelves of skulls lay scattered and bleached. But the apprentice's bench, lower, smaller than the master's, still stood, and on it sat a copper bowl filled with ash and lavender that had somehow not scattered in 3 centuries. Iridia set the bone on the bench. Then she sat in the dust and waited. Kaelin had been dead for 300 years, but prophecy doesn't care about death. He appeared as a shimmer, not quite a ghost, not quite a memory, more like a heat haze over summer stone, young, dark-haired, with the hands of a carver, and the eyes of someone who had spent a lifetime listening to things that did not speak. "You're late," he said. Iridia did not flinch. She had survived 3 weeks in a world that was forgetting itself. A shimmering apprentice barely registered. "The bone says your name is Kaelin." "The bone says a lot of things." He sat on the edge of the master's bench, though his weight left no mark in the dust. "You have the scar." She looked at her left palm. The scar had grown, not a river delta anymore, but a map. Fine lines branching outward like roots like lightning, like the veins of a leaf. It appeared the night I found the bone. It's not a scar, Kaelin said. It's a key. The drowned oracle put it there 200 years before you were born. You just hadn't unlocked it yet. Iridia closed her fist. Unlock what? The one memory Valdis cannot erase. Kaelin tilted his head, and for a moment, he looked impossibly sad. His own, not the memory of his childhood or his first love, the memory of the moment he became afraid of memory itself. He started this war because something he remembered broke him. If you can show him that memory, truly show him, not tell him, the spell will crack. His army will remember. The world will breathe again. Why me? Iridia asked. Kaelin smiled. It was the same smile his master had given him 300 years ago in this very workshop. Because you're the one who turns back. That's what RENNAR means. Not the one who runs away. The one who turns back to face what everyone else fled. He stood. The shimmer flickered, dimmed, brightened again. One more thing. Valdis keeps his first memory in a box made of cold iron. He wears the box around his neck. To open it, you need the key. The scar, Iridia said. The scar, Kaelin agreed, but opening the box won't be enough. You'll have to touch the memory itself, and when you do, you'll see what he saw. You'll feel what he felt. It will try to become your memory instead. You might forget who you are. Iridia looked down at the amber bone on the bench. The carved woman's face stared back at her. Her own face, she realized now. Older, kinder. The face of someone who had already survived something terrible. Will I forget? She asked. Kaelin was already fading, the salt flat wind pulling him apart like smoke. That's the question, isn't it? He said. The throne room of Valdis the memory thief had no throne. It had a chair made of cold iron studded with the coins he had used to steal 10,000 memories. Valdis sat in it like a spider at the center of a web, his long fingers tapping the arms. His eyes the pale gray of a winter sky before snow. Around him stood his emptied army, men and women with perfect posture and no past, their eyes focused on nothing, their hands resting on swords they no longer remembered learning to use. Iridia walked in alone. She had left the bone at the workshop. She had left her name at the door. She carried only the scar on her palm, and the strange rust-colored hope that Kaelin's prophecy had planted in her chest. You're the farmer, Valdis said. He sounded almost curious. The one who found the old bone. I sent 3 of my collectors to retrieve it. They forgot their mission halfway to your field and started a bakery instead. The bone didn't want to be found, Iridia said. And yet you brought it to the salt flats. Why? Because it belonged there. She took a step closer. The cold iron chair hummed, a low, unpleasant frequency that made her teeth ache. I'm not here to fight you. Valdis laughed. It was a hollow sound, like a bell with no clapper. Everyone who comes here wants to fight me. The knights, the priests, the woman who forgot her daughter's name and blamed me for it. You're no different. I am, Iridia said. I'm not here to take your power. I'm here to give you back your memory. For the first time, Valdis's expression flickered. Something passed behind his gray eyes. Not fear exactly. Recognition. You don't know what you're talking about. The box around your neck, Iridia said. Open it. His hand flew to his chest. A small iron box hung there on a leather cord, no bigger than a walnut. He had worn it for so long he had forgotten it existed. No, that wasn't right. He had made himself forget. That was the one memory he had never been able to steal from anyone else, because it was his own. And it was locked in iron. And he had sworn never to open it again. Get out, he whispered. Iridia stepped closer. The scar on her palm was burning now, hot and bright, casting a faint amber glow across the cold iron floor. You started this war because something broke you. But breaking isn't the end. It's just the place where the light gets in. Let me show you. She reached out her hand. The scarred one. The key. The river delta. The map of everything Valdis had lost. He flinched. The army behind him did not move. They had no memories of loyalty, no memories of fear, no memories of mercy. They simply watched, empty as waiting bowls. Valdis looked at Iridia's open palm. Then he looked at the box around his neck. I was 7 years old, he said. and his voice cracked like old ice. My mother had a red dress. I remember. I remember the dress. I don't remember her face. I've been trying to forget the dress for 40 years, but I can't. It's the only thing that stays. The red dress. The way the fabric moved when she walked away. He opened the box. Inside was nothing. No coin, no lock of hair, no written word. Just the absence of something. A hollow shaped like a small hand, a child's hand, reaching for a mother who had already turned her back. Iridia pressed her scarred palm to the hollow. The memory flooded her like a river breaking through a dam. She saw the red dress. She felt the cobblestones cold under bare feet. She heard the door close. Not slam, not click, just close as softly as a book being shut. And she felt the thing that had broken Valdis. Not the leaving itself, but the silence afterward. The way the world had kept spinning, as if nothing important had happened. The way no one had asked if he was okay. The way he had learned at 7 years old. That memory was a wound that never closed. And the only cure was to stop remembering anything at all. The memory tried to become hers. She felt it pressing against her mind, offering to swap places. Her life for his. Her scar for his box. Her name for his emptiness. She thought of the bone. The workshop. The old man with slate-gray eyes who had taught his apprentice that prophecies were doors, not cages. She thought of Kalin, dead 300 years, who had crossed time to sit on a dusty bench and say, "You're the one who turns back." She pulled her hand away. The memory stayed where it belonged. Valdis gasped, clutching the box. And for the first time in 40 years he wept. Not silently, loudly, messily. The way a 7-year-old weeps when someone finally asks. The army behind him stirred. A woman blinked, touched her own face, and whispered a name. Her daughter's name, lost for 2 years, found again. A man dropped his sword and fell to his knees, not in surrender, but in the simple, overwhelming weight of remembering his own wedding day. The rain. The way his wife had laughed when her shoes sank into the mud. Valdis did not stop them. He sat in his cold iron chair, the box open on his chest, and let the red dress fade at last. Not erased, but finished. A memory that has finally been witnessed. Iridia turned to go. "Wait," Valdis said. His voice was raw, almost kind. "What's your name?" She paused at the door. The scar on her palm was cooling now, fading from amber to silver. A scar like any other. "Iridia," she said. "It means the one who sees what was lost and turns back anyway." Outside, the world was already beginning to remember itself. The salt flats looked the same, which felt like a small miracle. Iridia walked to the ruined workshop and found the amber bones still lying on the apprentice's bench. The carved face, her face, seemed younger now, less burdened. She picked up the bone and carried it to the crossroads, where the fox ran north at midnight. She buried it again, shallower this time, wrapped only in lavender and her own hope. "For the next one," she said aloud. "Whoever you are, whenever you come." The wind carried her words across the salt. It carried them across the years. It carried them to a small workshop at the edge of the flats, where a young apprentice named Kalin was sweeping bone shavings into a copper bowl, listening to the whispers of a drowned oracle who had screamed a prophecy that was only now, finally, complete. He looked up. For a moment, he thought he saw a woman standing at the crossroads, a scar on her palm, a smile on her face, a bone in her hands that looked exactly like the one he would carve tomorrow. Then the wind shifted, and she was gone. He picked up his broom and kept sweeping. The prophecies would come again. They always did. But some of them, he thought, might have happy endings after all.